Have you ever asked yourself why one person's comment can ruin your entire day? Why a single rude word or disrespectful action can hijack your mood, control your thoughts, and steal your peace? The truth is, most people go through life like emotional puppets, letting anyone who pulls the strings decide how they feel. But imagine if you could break free from that. Imagine living with such deep emotional control that no one could get under your skin, no matter what they said or did. That level of freedom is possible, and it can completely change the way you experience life. You were not born to live in constant reaction. You were not born to carry anger in your chest and resentment in your mind every time someone offends you. That heaviness is not who you are. It is simply an untrained response, a habit your mind has been practicing for years. And habits can be broken. What you truly want is power, but not the kind that shouts, not the kind that explodes. Real power is the quiet kind. Real power is when nothing outside of you can disturb the inside of you. Right now, you may feel like the world is testing you at every corner. People cut you off in traffic, interrupt you mid-sentence, criticize you when you're trying your best. It feels personal, doesn't it? But here's the truth. It's not personal. Most of what people do has nothing to do with you. They are fighting their own battles, living in their own stress, projecting their own pain. The problem is not what they do. The problem is how much power you give them over your emotions. When you let someone's words control how you feel, you hand them the keys to your peace. And deep down, you know you deserve better than that. What would your life feel like if nothing could shake you? If you could stay calm even when someone tried to provoke you? If you could protect your energy like it was the most valuable thing you own? Because it is. That's the freedom we're after. Because when you stop reacting to everything, you rise above everything. You stop letting small people, small moments, and small problems pull you into their storm. You become the calm. You become the steady one who thinks clearly, speaks intentionally, and acts with purpose. This is not just about feeling good. This is about taking back your power. Every time you stay calm, you prove to yourself that you are in control, not your emotions, not other people, not the chaos around you. And the more you do it, the stronger you become. People will notice the change in you. They will sense your composure. They will respect you more because you respect yourself enough to protect your peace. Stay with this message until the end, because what you are about to learn is more than motivation. It is transformation. You are about to learn how to build a mind that no one can disturb, a heart that no one can shake, and a life that no one can control. This is where the journey to becoming truly unbothered begins. When someone bothers you, it is easy to believe they are the problem. It feels natural to point the finger outward and think, if they hadn't said that, I wouldn't feel this way. But the truth is far deeper. What actually hurts is not what they said or did. It's what it triggered inside you. Every moment that makes you angry is like a mirror reflecting something you still need to face. Maybe it's an insecurity you haven't dealt with. Maybe it's a belief about yourself that you secretly fear is true. When someone calls you lazy and it makes you furious, part of you is reacting because you wonder if there might be truth in their words. When you know who you are, when you are at peace with yourself, those words lose their power. They bounce off instead of cutting deep. This is why self-awareness is the foundation of emotional freedom. You cannot master your reactions if you do not understand why you react the way you do. The next time you feel anger rising, pause. Ask yourself, what part of me is being touched right now? Why does this sting? The answer may surprise you. Often it has nothing to do with the person in front of you. They simply pressed a button that was already there. You are not broken for feeling this way. You are human. But staying unaware keeps you trapped in the same cycle of reaction. When you become aware of your triggers, you gain power over them. You stop being a prisoner of old wounds and start becoming the healer of them. This is where the real transformation begins. Instead of avoiding the things that upset you, you face them with curiosity. You dig deeper until you understand the root. Then you work on that root, not on silencing the world. This is why some people seem so calm, not because life never tests them, but because they have done the work to make peace with themselves. You cannot control what people say, but you can control the story you tell yourself about it. You can decide that their words are simply noise, not a judgment of your worth. You can choose to see their behavior as a reflection of their own pain instead of a reflection of your value. This shift alone is enough to take away most of the sting. Suddenly, what used to make you furious just makes you shrug. What used to make you shout just makes you breathe. And when you stop being easily triggered, everything in life feels lighter. Arguments fade faster. Stress dissolves quicker. You walk through the same world, but nothing weighs as heavy on your chest. You gain back your time, your focus, your energy. This is the reward for doing the inner work. You become so deeply grounded that no comment, no judgment, no petty insult can pull you away from your center. This is how you stop being a puppet of the world and start being the master of your own mind. Detachment is the secret ingredient to lasting peace. It is not about shutting down your heart or pretending you don't care. It is about caring in a way that does not destroy you. It is about stepping back far enough to see what is truly worth your energy and what is simply noise. Most people let every small thing get to them. A rude comment ruins their mood. A single disagreement ruins their day. Detachment frees you from that trap. It allows you to look at life without being dragged into every emotional storm. When you are detached, you notice what happens, but you no longer let it own you. Someone criticizes you, and you simply watch the words land. You hear them, but you do not absorb them. You are free to choose how you respond. You can answer calmly, you can walk away, or you can let it go completely. Detachment gives you that space, the pause between what happens and what you do about it. In that pause lives your power. The truth is not everything deserves a reaction. Not every situation deserves your emotional energy. Some things are better left unanswered. Some battles are not worth fighting. Detachment teaches you to protect your peace by becoming selective with your focus. What you give attention to grows, so give attention to what empowers you, not what drains you. When you stop feeding your anger, it starves and dies. This is not about being passive or letting people walk all over you. In fact, detachment makes you stronger because when you are calm, you see more clearly. You make decisions from logic, not from blind emotion. You are less likely to say something you regret. You are less likely to escalate situations that don't need escalation. People who are truly powerful are not the loudest ones in the room. They are the ones who do not get provoked, who do not lose themselves just because someone else lost control. And here is the most empowering part. When you stay detached, you stop being predictable. People who try to provoke you no longer know what to expect. They cannot manipulate you because they cannot make you react. You take back full control of the game. And when you stop reacting, many conflicts simply dissolve on their own. People lose interest when they realize they cannot control your emotions. Detachment is a skill, and like any skill, it grows with practice. At first, it may feel unnatural to not react. Your mind will want to jump in, to argue, to defend. But every time you pause, every time you choose to stay centered, you get stronger. Soon it becomes natural. Soon it becomes who you are. You become that unshakable presence others admire. The person who cannot be thrown off balance no matter what is happening around them. The one who holds their peace like a shield and walks through the chaos untouched. Every time something provokes you, it is an invitation to grow stronger. You cannot eliminate triggers by avoiding the world or hiding from discomfort. You must face them head on and rewire the way your mind responds. When you feel anger rise, do not immediately react. Notice what happens in your body. Feel the tension building in your chest, the heat rising in your face, the quickening of your breath. Instead of letting that energy explode outward, pause and breathe deeply. Slow, deliberate breathing signals your nervous system that you are safe. It interrupts the automatic reaction and gives you a chance to choose how to respond. Each time you do this, you train your brain to stay calm. You are teaching your body a new pattern. What once sent you into a spiral of anger becomes an opportunity to practice control. This is not suppression. It is transformation. You are not ignoring your emotions. You are taking that energy and directing it with purpose. Anger holds immense power, but when you channel it, instead of letting it control you, it becomes fuel for focus, clarity, and strength. This is how you rewire your emotional system. Every trigger becomes a small workout for your mind. Every pause builds mental muscle. Just as your body grows stronger with resistance training, your emotional resilience grows stronger with every moment you resist the urge to lash out. Over time, you find yourself staying calm in situations that once would have made you explode. The same words, the same events, no longer carry the same power over you. You have trained yourself to respond differently, and that is true freedom. The most powerful people you know are not the ones who never feel anger. They are the ones who have learned to master it. They use it as information, not as a weapon. They take that surge of energy and use it to create solutions, not more chaos. This is what you are capable of. You are capable of becoming someone who cannot be shaken, who cannot be baited into losing control. At first, this will require conscious effort. You will catch yourself after you have already reacted and wish you had stayed calm. That is part of the process. Each time you catch yourself, you get better. Each time you pause, you prove to yourself that you are growing. With repetition, calm becomes your natural state. It stops being something you have to force and becomes who you are. This is the reward of the work. You no longer wake up dreading who might offend you today. You no longer waste hours replaying conversations in your mind. You free yourself from the constant drain of emotional chaos. And when you are free, you have more energy for what truly matters: your goals, your relationships, your growth. You stop living in reaction and start living in creation. This is how you build a life that no one else has the power to control. Anger is almost always fueled by the ego. It demands recognition, respect, and validation, and it hates feeling challenged or dismissed. The moment someone questions you, insults you, or contradicts you, the ego screams for retaliation. It wants you to prove yourself, to defend your worth, to assert dominance. But the truth is that the ego is not you. It is a part of your mind that thrives on drama, on chaos, on conflict. And as long as you feed it, it will continue to steal your peace. The moment you recognize this, you realize that anger is not strength. It is weakness disguised as importance. The power lies in choosing not to feed the ego. When you stop needing to prove yourself, when you stop needing validation, when you stop insisting that everyone else recognizes your value, anger loses its fuel. You learn to see events as neutral until you assign meaning to them. Someone says something rude, someone criticizes you. At first, your mind wants to jump to offense, to lash out, to retaliate. But then you pause and remind yourself, this is not about me. This is not a reflection of my worth. This is a moment in time that does not deserve my energy. That pause, small as it may seem, is the difference between chaos and control. When the ego is quiet, the mind becomes your ally instead of your enemy. You start to respond from a place of clarity instead of reaction. You do not need to fight every battle, prove every point, or correct every slight. You choose which battles are worth your energy and you let the rest pass by like water flowing around a rock. In this space, anger becomes rare. It no longer controls your thoughts, your decisions, or your life. You begin to feel lighter, freer, and more powerful than you ever had before. Humility is the ultimate antidote to anger. Humility says not everything is about me. Not every criticism, every insult, every challenge needs a reaction. Humility allows you to step out of the ego's trap and into a state of calm strength. It allows you to protect your peace without feeling weak, to stay grounded without feeling indifferent. When you combine detachment with humility, you create a shield around your mind and heart that no one can penetrate. People will try, but they will fail. Their words, their actions, their attempts to provoke you will no longer have the effect they once did. The beauty of this mastery is that it not only benefits you, it radiates outward. People sense calmness. They feel the stability in your presence. They stop trying to manipulate or provoke you because they realize it is useless. You become a force of influence not through loudness or aggression, but through quiet control. You show the world that peace is more powerful than rage, that calm is stronger than chaos, and that true strength is not in reaction, but in choice. The path to unshakable composure is not easy, but it is simple. Recognize the ego for what it is. Refuse to feed it. Choose clarity over reaction, humility over pride, calm over chaos. Every moment you do this, you grow stronger. Every moment you refuse to give your energy to anger, you reclaim a piece of your power. And over time, this becomes your natural state. You no longer live under the sway of others. You live in command of yourself. You live unshakable. Your brain is wired to react before you even realize it. It sees threats everywhere, even where none exist, and it pushes you into fight or flight without asking for permission. That is why anger feels automatic, explosive, and sometimes uncontrollable. But the remarkable thing is that the brain is also malleable. Neuroscience shows that you can train it, reshape it, and reprogram it to respond differently. Your mind is not a prisoner of old patterns. It is a muscle waiting to be strengthened. Every time you choose calm, you create new neural pathways. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you teach your brain a new default response. Deep breathing is one of the most powerful tools you have. When anger rises, the body tightens, the heart races, and the mind narrows. Breathing deeply signals to your nervous system that you are safe. It slows the heart, relaxes the muscles, and gives clarity to your thoughts. Meditation and mindfulness strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Gratitude rewires the mind to focus on what is positive, reducing the tendency to dwell on insults or slights. These are not abstract techniques. They are practical, research-backed ways to take control of your inner state. The more you practice, the more automatic calm becomes. You begin to notice situations that once triggered explosive reactions, and now you meet them with composure. Your mind stops being a battlefield and becomes a command center. You are in control, directing your energy where it matters, not wasting it on fleeting provocations. Your emotional life is no longer dictated by external events. You are choosing your responses instead of being dragged by impulses. This is not suppression. This is mastery. Calmness is contagious. When you move through the world with a steady mind, it affects everyone around you. People sense your presence, and it changes the tone of interactions. Arguments lose momentum. Tension dissolves. Even those who intend to provoke may pause because they feel the unwavering strength in your energy. By mastering your mind, you do not just protect yourself, you influence the environment around you. You become a center of stability in a chaotic world. The reward is immense. You gain back mental clarity, emotional energy, and the ability to focus on what truly matters. You stop wasting hours replaying conflicts in your mind or stewing over offenses. You reclaim the part of yourself that was being drained by reactive patterns. With practice, calm becomes your natural state, not something you have to force. Your body, your brain, and your mind align to make tranquility the default response. You become unshakable, untouchable, and completely in command of your inner world. This is the power of neuroscience working for you. It shows that freedom from anger is not just an ideal. It is achievable. Your mind can be rewired. Your reactions can be transformed. You can step into life as someone who chooses every moment, every thought, every response. You can live in a state where no one has the power to disturb your peace, and in that freedom, you will find strength, clarity, and a level of control most people never experience. You have more control over your emotions than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. Feelings are signals, not commands. Just because anger rises does not mean you must act on it. Every time you pause and observe what you are feeling, you reclaim choice. You decide how to respond. You decide whether to escalate or release, to lash out or stay calm. Radical ownership of your inner state is the cornerstone of unshakable strength. The world cannot dictate how you feel unless you allow it to. Imagine being able to walk through life with that level of control. Someone insults you, and instead of spiraling, you notice the feeling, breathe through it, and let it go. Someone criticizes your work, and instead of reacting, you assess what is useful and discard the rest. Your energy is no longer hijacked by other people's opinions or actions. You move with precision, clarity, and intention, conserving every ounce of emotional power for what truly matters. This is freedom. This is mastery. Choosing your emotional state is a practice of awareness. You observe yourself, your body, your thoughts, and your impulses without judgment. You notice the triggers, but you no longer give them permission to control you. This is where personal power begins, in the ability to feel without being carried away, to notice without reacting, to exist fully in the present while refusing to be dictated by the chaos around you. The calm you cultivate is not temporary. It becomes your foundation. It is no longer an effort to remain collected. It becomes who you are. Every choice to remain centered strengthens you. Every decision to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively rewires your mind. Over time, what once caused tension now passes without consequence. Your body remains relaxed, your mind sharp, and your heart unburdened. People will notice. They will sense the difference in your presence. Calm energy draws respect. It commands attention without aggression. It inspires others to pause, reflect, and consider because you embody control that cannot be ignored. This is the profound reward of mastering your emotions. Liberation. Liberation from petty conflicts, from reactive cycles, from the constant drain of other people's words and actions. You protect your mental energy as if it were the most valuable asset in the world, because it is. The clarity that comes from this control allows you to focus on your goals, your growth, and your vision. You stop reacting to distractions and start directing your life. Every moment of composure multiplies your effectiveness and amplifies your power. By choosing your emotional state, you declare that your peace is non-negotiable. You show the world that you are not a product of circumstance, but a creator of your own reality. You move through challenges without being swallowed by them. You stand firm when others falter. You radiate stability in a world that constantly seeks to pull people off balance. This is mastery in action. This is the transformation that leads to a life where anger no longer dictates your choices, and no one has the ability to steal your calm. Perspective is the lens that transforms irritation into calm, that turns offense into understanding. Most people react as if the world revolves around them, as if every word, every action, every misstep is a personal attack. But stepping back and widening your view changes everything. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? Most of what triggers anger is temporary, insignificant, fleeting. When you see the bigger picture, the power of those moments over you diminishes. The world is vast, and your life is larger than any single provocation. When you cultivate perspective, you begin to measure challenges against your purpose. You start to notice which situations truly deserve your attention and which are distractions. A rude comment, a harsh criticism, a careless remark, these are no longer storms that sweep you off your feet. They become small ripples in the ocean of your life, passing without consequence. This shift rewires your mind to prioritize what truly matters, protecting your energy for goals, growth, and meaningful action. You stop giving weight to things that have no right to it. Perspective also dissolves personalizing. The insult, the interruption, the anger of others, these are rarely about you. They are reflections of their own pain, frustration, or limitations. Understanding this allows you to respond with neutrality instead of reaction. You begin to see events clearly without the distortion of wounded pride or ego. The energy that once went into resentment can now flow into focus, strategy, and progress. Your mind becomes a tool for creation, not destruction. This clarity builds confidence. When you no longer take offense at every minor slight, you gain certainty in your own value. You stop seeking validation externally because your self-worth is anchored internally. You develop a calm strength that cannot be shaken by petty disputes or the judgments of others. People sense it. They notice your grounded presence and respond differently. The chaos around you loses its grip because you no longer hand over your power. Perspective expands your patience. You stop rushing to respond, to argue, to correct. You learn to wait, to observe, to consider. Patience is not weakness, it is strategy. It allows you to conserve your energy for moments that truly require it. It allows you to act with intelligence instead of instinct. And in that space, anger loses its authority. You choose thoughtfulness over impulsiveness, clarity over confusion, composure over chaos. By consistently applying perspective, you elevate yourself above temporary discomfort and minor offenses. You cultivate a mind that evaluates before it reacts, a heart that weighs before it responds. You stop wasting energy on what will not last and begin investing in what will shape your life. The world may still provoke, the chaos may still surround you, but you have created an internal vantage point from which nothing can disturb your peace. You begin to live anchored in calm, moving deliberately, acting with power, and experiencing life on your own terms. Forgiveness is not a favor you do for others. It is a gift you give yourself. Holding on to anger, resentment, and grudges keeps you chained to the past, draining your energy and poisoning your peace. Every moment you dwell on someone else's mistake is a moment stolen from your own growth, your own focus, your own potential. Forgiveness is the key to cutting those chains. It does not mean you approve of what happened or that you let people off the hook. It means you refuse to let their actions continue to control you. When you forgive, you reclaim your power. You stop being a hostage to every insult, betrayal, or offense. You stop replaying the scenario in your mind, letting it fuel anxiety or bitterness. You take back ownership of your emotions. Anger and resentment are heavy burdens, and you are not meant to carry them indefinitely. Forgiveness is the act of placing that weight down. It allows you to breathe freely, think clearly, and act intentionally. Every time you forgive, you step closer to the person you are capable of becoming, calm, unshakable, and in control. This is where true strength lies. It takes courage to forgive because it requires you to rise above the instinct to retaliate, to prove yourself, to justify your pain. It requires a level of self-respect that says, I am bigger than this. I will not let someone else's behavior define my state of mind. That courage rewires your brain. It teaches you that you can face offenses without being destroyed by them. It teaches you that emotional freedom is possible and that peace is not a passive state. It is an active choice. Forgiveness also transforms how you see the world. People who hurt you often act out of their own pain, fear, or ignorance. By choosing forgiveness, you see them more clearly as human, as flawed, as struggling in ways you may never understand. This does not excuse their actions, but it removes the unnecessary weight of personalizing every conflict. You stop reacting to every slight and start responding from clarity, from strength, from wisdom. Your mind is no longer a battlefield for old grievances. It becomes a place of strategy, focus, and growth. When you practice forgiveness consistently, you create a life that is lighter, freer, and more productive. You no longer waste energy on grudges that have no constructive purpose. You are no longer trapped by past mistakes or resentments. You walk through life unburdened, moving with intention, directing your energy toward goals, relationships, and experiences that matter. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-mastery because it breaks the cycle of reactivity, anger, and bitterness. By releasing what no longer serves you, you make space for what elevates you. Every time you choose to forgive, you strengthen your resilience, expand your capacity for calm, and solidify your unshakable nature. You demonstrate that no one has the power to disturb your peace without your consent. You prove that emotional freedom is not just a concept. It is a practice, a choice, and a lifestyle. Through forgiveness, you reclaim control of your mind, your heart, and your life. Protecting your peace requires boundaries, and boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They are a declaration of self-respect. Every moment you allow negativity, disrespect, or unnecessary conflict into your life, you dilute your power. People who get under your skin often do so because you have unconsciously allowed them access to your energy. Setting clear emotional boundaries is not about shutting people out. It is about deciding who deserves your attention, who deserves your time, and who deserves the privilege of influencing your state of mind. Boundaries give you space to breathe. They allow you to prioritize what truly matters. Saying no when something threatens your peace is not selfish. It is essential. Walking away from situations or people who repeatedly provoke you is not weakness. It is strategy. When you establish boundaries, you create a shield around your mind, protecting it from unnecessary attacks. Your energy becomes yours again. You start choosing where it flows instead of having it hijacked by the chaos and opinions of others. People respect what they cannot easily manipulate. When you are firm about your limits, when you make it clear that your peace is non-negotiable, others adjust. They stop testing, they stop pushing, and they begin to recognize the strength in your composure. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters that allow in only what nurtures and strengthens you. The world will always present challenges, but when your boundaries are strong, those challenges lose their ability to provoke you unnecessarily. Every moment you enforce your boundaries reinforces your control. You stop being reactive and start being deliberate. You no longer waste time and energy arguing with people who thrive on drama or negativity. You no longer carry the weight of other people's emotions because you have decided where your responsibilities begin and end. Emotional boundaries are the framework upon which your unshakable calm is built. They allow you to engage fully where it matters and disengage where it does not, giving you unprecedented freedom and clarity. The most powerful people are not those who tolerate everything. They are those who are selective with their energy. They conserve it, protect it, and use it with intention. Boundaries make this possible. They are the practice of valuing yourself above petty chaos, of prioritizing your mental clarity over temporary discomfort. By refusing to tolerate what diminishes your calm, you amplify your strength, your focus, and your effectiveness. You start living a life guided not by external pressures, but by internal mastery. Boundaries also allow for growth and perspective. They help you discern which conflicts are worth engaging with and which are distractions. They create space for reflection, for learning, and for intentional response. When you protect your peace, you are not isolating yourself. You are creating the conditions for your best self to emerge. Every day you uphold these boundaries, you strengthen your resilience, your patience, and your capacity to remain calm in the face of provocation. By creating and defending your boundaries, you take full ownership of your emotional life. You demonstrate that your peace is sacred, that your energy is invaluable, and that you are no longer available to chaos without choice. This is not just self-preservation, it is empowerment. Boundaries are the armor of the unshakable mind, and with them you move through life untouchable, intentional, and free. Every moment that triggers you is an opportunity to grow stronger. Pain, irritation, and frustration are not enemies. They are signals, lessons, and catalysts for transformation. When someone pushes your buttons, it is a mirror showing you where your mind is still reactive, where old wounds or insecurities are still unhealed. The true power lies in using these moments consciously, in turning discomfort into insight, and in refusing to allow the external chaos to dictate your internal state. Every trigger is a chance to practice mastery, to test your control, and to expand your resilience. When you shift your perspective, you see that the events that once caused anger are not attacks but exercises. They challenge you to pause, to breathe, and to respond with clarity rather than instinct. The more you engage with this practice, the less reactive you become. Over time, what used to provoke an immediate outburst now passes like a ripple across water. Your mind becomes steady, your heart remains unshaken, and your energy is preserved for what truly matters. Growth comes from harnessing these challenges instead of letting them harness you. Every moment of resistance strengthens your mental muscles. The anger you once allowed to control you now becomes fuel for patience, focus, and wisdom. You begin to notice the difference in how you approach conflicts, conversations, and criticism. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You conserve your energy, protecting it from unnecessary battles. Your clarity increases, and with it comes an undeniable sense of empowerment. Life no longer feels like a series of attacks. It becomes a training ground where you refine the skill of emotional mastery. The transformation that comes from turning pain into growth is profound. You stop resenting challenges and start appreciating them for what they offer: insight, discipline, and strength. Each difficulty becomes a stepping stone, each provocation an opportunity to reinforce your calm. You no longer waste energy on bitterness or replaying moments of offense. You invest your energy in building a mind that is unshakable, a heart that is steady, and a life that is directed, not dictated. This mindset changes the way the world responds to you. People sense strength, not aggression. They recognize composure, not defensiveness. They feel the stability in your presence, and it influences the energy around you. Conflicts lose momentum, insults lose potency, and attempts to provoke you fade into irrelevance. By transforming pain into growth, you take control of the narrative. You decide what affects you and what does not. You reclaim ownership over your inner life. The ultimate reward is freedom. Freedom from reactive cycles, freedom from unnecessary anger, freedom from the control of others. The more consistently you turn discomfort into growth, the less likely you are to be disturbed by what was once upsetting. You begin to live intentionally, acting from clarity instead of reaction. You become someone who is respected, not feared, admired, not resented. This is the life of someone who has mastered themselves, someone whose power comes from inner discipline rather than outward aggression. Someone who walks through the world unshakable, resilient, and free. Your thoughts are the architects of your emotions. The moment you allow negative interpretations, assumptions, or judgments to take root, you give them the power to control your mood. Anger, irritation, and frustration often begin not in reality, but in your mind's narrative. A simple comment becomes a personal attack. A minor mistake becomes a crisis and a fleeting discomfort. becomes a source of endless resentment. Mastery begins when you take control of the stories you tell yourself. You decide how to interpret events, how to frame experiences, and how much weight to assign to external provocations. Every thought that fuels anger is an opportunity to intervene. Notice it, question it, challenge it. Ask yourself if it is true, if it is relevant, and if it deserves your attention. Most of the time, it does not. The mind exaggerates, personalizes, and magnifies. By actively managing your interpretations, you prevent unnecessary emotional escalation. You build a mental filter that separates truth from distortion, fact from assumption, action from reaction. This is not denial, it is clarity. It is seeing the world as it is rather than how your ego wants it to be. When you control your thoughts, you control your energy. No one can make you angry without your consent. Every time you catch yourself spinning into a reactive loop, you reclaim power. You shift from victim to observer, from reactor to creator. You choose focus over distraction, calm over chaos, and intention over impulse. Your mind becomes a tool, not a battlefield. Your energy becomes an asset, not a liability. And with every thought you manage, your emotional resilience grows stronger. This level of control transforms the way you experience life. Criticism no longer pierces your armor. Insults no longer wound you. You see people's words and actions for what they are. Projections, misunderstandings, and reflections of their inner state rather than personal attacks. You develop a mental immunity to negativity. Your reactions become deliberate, measured, and proportionate. The storms around you may rage, but your inner climate remains stable, predictable, and empowering. Mastering your thoughts also opens the door to freedom. Freedom from replaying conflicts, freedom from holding grudges, freedom from letting others dictate your inner state. Each moment of awareness, each interruption of a reactive pattern strengthens this freedom. You become a presence that cannot be easily disturbed, a mind that cannot be easily hijacked, a person whose calm becomes their greatest power. People will notice. They will sense the difference in how you move, how you speak, and how you respond. Your influence grows not through force, but through composure. This is the ultimate advantage of thought mastery, complete ownership of your emotional life. By consciously choosing what to think and how to interpret events, you reclaim the energy that once fueled anger. You redirect it into focus, action, and growth. The world may try to provoke you, but you no longer participate in the script of reactivity. You write your own narrative, act from clarity, and live with a sense of control and purpose that others can only admire. Your mind becomes your fortress, your calm becomes your weapon, and your life becomes a testament to the power of self-mastery. Your energy is your most valuable resource, and how you allocate it determines the quality of your life. Every second spent reacting to provocation, feeding resentment, or replaying conflict is energy stolen from your growth, your focus, and your peace. The moment you recognize this, you understand that emotional control is not just a skill, it is a form of self-preservation. Protecting your energy becomes non-negotiable. Every interaction, every thought, and every response must be evaluated. Does this serve me or does it drain me? The choice is always yours. When you stop giving energy to negativity, the world begins to feel different. Minor provocations lose their grip. Criticism becomes data instead of a weapon. Insults roll off your back instead of burrowing into your mind. Your energy is no longer scattered across battles that do not matter. You become intentional in how you spend your emotional power. This is not avoidance. It is precision. It is understanding that the strongest people are not the ones who react to everything, but the ones who invest their energy wisely. This awareness also creates clarity. When you conserve your emotional energy, your thoughts sharpen, your decisions become clearer, and your focus intensifies. You see opportunities and challenges with accuracy because your mind is not clouded by distraction or resentment. You act from strategy, not from impulse. The time and mental space you reclaim become a source of strength, enabling you to achieve goals, pursue growth, and maintain composure in ways that reactive people never can. Your energy sets the tone for your interactions. When you are calm, centered, and deliberate, others respond differently. They sense stability and composure. They recognize that attempts to provoke or manipulate you are futile. You influence without aggression. You lead without force. The conservation of your energy transforms not just your inner life, but the dynamics around you. Calm becomes your language, clarity your power, and unshakable presence your influence. Discipline over your energy also fortifies resilience. Life will continue to present challenges, but when your energy is protected, you navigate adversity with strength. Setbacks do not derail you, insults do not shake you, and provocation does not control you. Each moment you maintain control over your energy reinforces your resilience, solidifies your composure, and strengthens your ability to act intentionally. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, but an architect of your inner state. Mastering your energy ultimately frees you from the cycle of reaction. You no longer expend mental power on anger, resentment, or fear. You redirect it to creation, growth, and purpose. Every breath, every thought, every action is chosen with intention. You move through life untethered from the chaos of others, anchored in your own power. Your energy becomes a weapon of focus, a shield of peace, and a source of unshakable strength. By protecting it, you reclaim your mind, your calm, and your life. Discipline is the bridge between emotional awareness and unshakable calm. Awareness alone is not enough. You may recognize triggers, understand your ego, and see the value of detachment, but without consistent practice, old patterns will always reclaim their power. Discipline is the daily choice to respond with intention instead of instinct. It is the commitment to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding, and to evaluate before engaging. It transforms knowledge into mastery and awareness into action. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen your inner authority. You reinforce the understanding that no one has the power to control your state of mind without your consent. This is not a small shift. It is a radical reorientation of your entire life. Each moment you resist the urge to react. Each time you breathe through anger instead of acting on it, your mental resilience grows. Over time, calm becomes automatic. Your responses are no longer dictated by others, but by the clarity and strength you cultivate within. Discipline also teaches patience. The mind wants immediate satisfaction, the urge to prove a point, to defend yourself, to react swiftly. But true strength comes from restraint. When you pause and allow your mind to settle, you access a deeper clarity. You see the situation as it is, not as your emotions want it to be. You respond from strategy, not from chaos. This patience is not passive. It is an active choice that requires courage and self-respect. Every decision to wait, every moment of measured response, compounds into mastery over your emotional life. The effects of discipline control extend beyond individual moments of anger. They ripple into every aspect of your life. Your energy becomes more focused, your decisions more precise, and your presence more commanding. People sense it. They respond to your steadiness, your clarity, and your ability to remain unaffected by what once provoked you. You influence your environment not by reacting to it, but by embodying control over yourself. Discipline turns calm into authority and authority into freedom. Consistency is the cornerstone of this process. You will not achieve unshakable composure overnight. Each interaction, each provocation, each moment of temptation is a chance to practice. The more consistently you choose restraint, the stronger your control becomes. What once required conscious effort eventually becomes instinct. Calmness evolves from a skill into a default state. Your mind, your heart, and your energy align to create a life that no one can disturb without your permission. Through disciplined practice, you become the master of your inner world. Anger no longer dictates your choices, criticism no longer shakes your confidence, and chaos no longer disrupts your focus. You act intentionally, respond thoughtfully, and invest your energy where it matters most. Every moment of discipline reinforces your autonomy, fortifies your calm, and amplifies your influence. This is the power of choice, the power of self-control, and the path to living a life that is entirely yours.